This is Dr. Eric Fishman with EHR TV, and we're in Las Vegas, Nevada at HIMSS 2012. And once again, I have the pleasure of speaking with Jim Hewitt, Chief Executive Officer of Jardogs. Jim, thank you for giving me a few minutes today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So Jim, tell me about Switzerland. We were speaking about that as a concept just a few moments ago.
Yep, so what I mean by Switzerland is that Jardogs views themselves really as Switzerland within healthcare right now. There are a lot of different companies out there, very large EMR vendors, that believe that ultimately they should be the information superhighway for all health information. The issue is when it comes to aggregation of data. One EMR vendor isn't necessarily going to share the data with another EMR vendor because they're in a very competitive environment.
That's the HIE's job, in theory.
In theory, the HIEs are trying to do that, but there really isn't a solid overall national effort to do that. So again, there are a lot of vendors that think that they're going to be within that space. Where Jardogs' strength is right now is that we truly are Switzerland between all those different EMR vendors trying to pull and bring that data together into a single repository for whether it's an HIE, whether it is someone trying to do an ACO, IDNs that are trying to do that. So really being able to bring that, be Switzerland for everybody, and to provide value to everyone involved.
Now let's bring that down to one particular instance as an example. Iowa, you've got a rather large enterprise installation, probably bringing in data from quite a number of locations. Can you explain nuts and bolts how that's working?
Yep, so Iowa Health is a fairly complex, large organization that has multiple EMR systems within that. And one of the challenges that large organizations have, where they have multiple systems, is that they can't provide a single point of view to the patient. Because I have all these different data islands inside my organization, there's really no systems out there today that will pull that together and then present that single interface to the patient. So that's a perfect example where we have the technology where we can bring that all together into a single data set and interact appropriately with those different vendors behind the scenes. And that works extremely well for us.
Jim, one of the buzzwords in HIMSS is mobility, and I understand that you've got a lot of functionality around that area as well. And if you could explain that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, we're really excited to announce, in conjunction with HIMSS, is that we've just released our mobility suite. We have two different applications that are available to both the hospital side as well as the consumer market. On the hospital clinic side, we have what we are naming a directory app, maybe not the best application, but it allows organizations to have a presence inside the iTunes store. So you could look up that individual organization, see all their doctors, all their locations, their hours of operation, directions to those locations, phone numbers, and we're able to do that through our cloud technology. So it's very fast, easy to implement. The other side is on the consumer component. We've just released our iPhone and iPad app for Follow My Health. So now patients can take their health record with them anywhere. And they have the full capabilities of our Follow My Health patient portal. What's neat about it is that when they are traveling and say you're in Florida, you get hurt, and you need that information, it is right there available for you. But not only, if they're a Follow My Health customer, you can automatically send it to them directly, or you can email or fax it directly out of the system as well. So all your information available right there, extremely secure, but gives you the capability to send it as well.
You do a lot of interesting things.
Oh, well, thank you.
And so if you could talk a little bit about how Jardogs is addressing population management issues, I'd be very interested in hearing that.
Sure. So one of the new products that we're currently working on is population management, and I think a lot of people have different ideas of what population management is. So with the Jardogs platform that we have in place today is that we can bring data in from a multitude of different sources into a single repository. So, a concept of an ACO or an IDN, where I have multiple systems, I'm trying to bring that data together, we have the ability to translate, bring that data into a common repository, normalize it, and then we can put our population management tools on top of it. And what I define as population management is really the identification of a patient within the population. Understanding what my population is doing, but then really identify the outliers that need help, and then have the care teams, not necessarily the physicians, but the care teams use that tool, create care plans, whether it's I've got to get them scheduled, I've got to get these lab tests done, whatever it may be, and then the real magic is to take that care plan and put it back into the workflow of the physician. because they don't want to be using different tools within the workflow, but we have to make that data from population management actionable back to the physicians.
And I understand that some of the data you can have electronic scales that will automatically, electronically provide weight data.
Again, we have population management, what I call identification of the patient. Then we have a new product as well called monitoring and compliance. And that's what really pulls everything together, because once I identify that patient through population management, create that care plan for them, I need to make sure that they're continuing to do those things that the doctor prescribed them to do.
And I understand if you have the scattergrams of weight versus ideal weight, that the idea is to continually push it closer and closer to an ideal weight.
Exactly.
And do you have that implemented? Is it brand new?
It's brand new. There's some press releases that came out earlier today talking about some of our partnerships. And what I find exciting is that inside most traditional EMRs, we can tender those monitoring and compliance orders. So the doctor can order saying, I want you to monitor your glucose level for the next 2 months. I want you to use these devices that we support. Go at home and do that. Monitoring and compliance with the patient using those devices at home will monitor you, and if you're not doing it or reporting it, the care team can call you and say, I understand that you're not following up on the glucose, or your glucose is out of bounds and we need to get you in immediately. So again, for me, it's really, I break it into 2 sections. Identify the patient through population management tools, and then create plans through monitoring and compliance to make sure that they're adhering to what the doctor prescribed them to do, whether it's weight loss, whether it's exercise through our Xbox Connect, whatever it may be, using those tools to make sure that they're being compliant.
And talking about your Xbox Connect, I understand that you can drill down pretty carefully on how much exercise patients are getting through your system. Explain how that works.
Yeah, so through the same mechanism, a physician can order physical therapy through the system.
And when you say physical therapy, do you mean home therapy as opposed to in a physical therapist's office, something that the patient does on their own possibly?
It's a blurred line right now.
Okay.
But yes, for the most part, what you could do at home. So in the case where you've just had back surgery, they say, we need you to do these exercises, here's the paper sheet that you have to go home and decipher, right? So you could order.
That's yesterday.
That's yesterday. So in today's world, you can now order that through the system. It's picked up through Follow My Health and then delivered down to an Xbox. So the Xbox has avatars that show you how to do that exercise correctly, and then it can watch you and monitor you. It watches your blood pressure, and then it will actually do those exercises with you.
It'll watch you as you're doing your Williams flexions, pulling your knees up, and it'll show you whether the person actually did the proper number of repetitions.
Yes, and it counts it. So if the doctor said you need to do 10 reps per day or 10 sets of 5 or whatever it may be, it counts those for you and keeps track. So if you do the exercise wrong, it won't count it.
Jim, always fun talking to you.
Yes,
and
same here.
It sounds like you've got great things happening. This is Dr. Eric Fishman with EHR TV. We've been speaking with Jim Hewitt, Chief Executive Officer of Jardogs. Thank you.